What up, you awesome sauce hackers? It's your boy, the humble hacker from Chi-Town, Ch1-R0n1n, here to do a beginner tutorial about XXE. Hopefully I didn't say that too fast. I hope y'all are doing great. Who else finished WandaVision? I have. I loved every piece of that. I've been thumping the trap version of Agatha all along for a while with the heavy bass. And man, is that track fire! What y'all think? Comment down below. Let's get the show on the road, yo. Alright. An XXE or an XML external attack is a way to manipulate data and abuse XML features. We can do things like read files on the system, perform SSRF attacks, denial of service, and pull data from a target over to our machine. So let's go ahead and down over on this TryHackMe room and start sifting through this bad boy and see if we can go ahead and find out. Now XML, which is what we're going to be abusing here, is designed as a readable language that both humans and machines can read. So there's really no encoding or decoding that needs to be done. Not like a URL or base64 or anything like that. So how it's designed is, think of it like multiple tags in a web page. When you're looking at the source code and you see all the tags and all the data that's in it, that's kind of the equivalency to what an XML document is. Now, every XML document always starts with a prologue. That's going to be this bad boy right here. And so what we're doing, we're saying that we're using XML specified in the version, which is 1.0, and in the encoding, which is UTF-8. All right. Now, when we make an XML document, we always have to have it with a root element. So what the root element is, think of that as the this contains the script of a file. What is it running? What is it doing? So this is basically the script saying that here's my element, here's everything that runs underneath it. And what's underneath it here, what we have is to, from, subject, and text. These are children elements. So with these, think of them as a dictionary or a list of objects that match its set tag. So anything that's in the to section is going to be either for everyone who's in the list of users or emails. From should always be who's sending the email. Subject, everything's different. Okay, so we have multiple subjects. If you want to see what's pick up like a certain one, it'll only come from right here. And the text will be everything that's in the body of that message there. And here, which is another cool thing, we can it does have like attributes similar to HTML as what I had mentioned earlier. Now, the next one for the DTD is like the main file. This is, let me go ahead and pull up an example here. This here that I have in Notepad. As you can see, it says test.dtd. Think of it as the actual file that we're going to be opening or running to call. So this is the numero uno right here, the head honcho test DTD. So when I double click, if I want to look at a DTD, simply this is basically how it's going to look. Think of it like a file that's written in C or Python or whatever. Double click that, we see the script that's in there. So we have the DTD, the main file. We open it, then we have the script that it contains here. And here we see like the overall design. Again, the XML prologue and the overall format. So here's what these are saying. So the doc type, since this is multiple ones, I'm only going to read off one and explain it a little bit later and shortly. Sorry, stutter kicking in again. So the doc type here defines a root element called note that is from this file here, and this note is going to contain all these child elements under here. All right, so let's go over to the payload section and see how this is the actual payload part is designed. So we have our doc type, which is replace, and in here, so this is doc type replace. This is like the main function that defines the root element that's going to show what we're going to be doing. What we're going to be doing is creating an entity, naming it name, that when we call it will display that feast. And here is The root element here, user info. User info contains these children elements of everything that is in the container of first name and the last name. And as you can, and also right here down at the bottom right here, if we want to call on name to show us this data that is sitting under feast, we define and we call it by having an ampersand, calling the variable, and ending it with a semicolon here. For a payload, it's going to be the exact same way. So let's go ahead and run it down. We have our prologue. We have our doc type. Root right here, which is going to be like our root element that we're operating in. Inside of this root element, there's an entity that's called read that is designed to tell the system to call this file. And we're going to call that, run this. So run the read command to tell the system to show this right here. All right. And so, like, let me think of, okay, another way that I can explain it is to think of this as like a Russian doll. So if you've seen a Russian doll, they are the ones that have like the multiple like faces that look all creepy staring at you with the hello all the time. So let's think of it this way. The main doll is the DTD. Okay, pop that top off. Hello, what's under that? It's going to be the XML prologue. What defines the XML version that we're using? Pop that top off. Hello, we have the doc type, the main function that defines the root element and shows what the file does. Pop that top off. Hello, we have the root element, which contains the script in the file. Now, the entity will normally go first, but I'm just trying to go down the list that I've already created here. Now, the entity is a variable that is assigned the value that will do as it's instructed when it's called. And the element is the dictionary or list of objects that match its set tag. All right. So hopefully that makes a little bit more sense and not confusing. My stutter confuses myself sometimes. So let's go ahead and see this in action. Go ahead and bring up Boip Suite. Okay, we got our intercept on here. And let's go over to our XXE page here. And let's enter in something generic like test. Go ahead and hit the submit button there. Pop open our proxies. So we have our post request over to home. And we entered test. And test, once we hit submit, was attached to this variable XXE. Okay, so how do we operate this bad boy? And how do we perform an XXE? So we'll send this to repeater. Okay, and let's leave test here just because. And we're not going to URL encode it because we don't really have a need to for this example. So how this is going to be designed, we could just go ahead on the bottom here. And you're going to define our XML prologue. XML prologue always goes first. So XML version equals 1.0 and encoding equals UTF-8. Oops, I said 8, not 9. Dang you! Now, let us begin to start defining what we want to do. And let us create our main script here. So we're going to have first parentheses, call it, move my flipping mouse first, Ch1-R0n1n. Whoops. Copy this whole thing. Copy that to close the tag. Now what we're going to put in it. All right, what we're going to put in this here is our doc type. And what do we want it? We want it to, what do we want it to do? We want it to tell it to call root. That when I call root, what you're going to do is you're going to call upon the power of this entity that will use the read command to call, not the read command, but we will just define it as read. That will say call the system to read the Etsy password file. Okay. Specifying our doc type. We have root right here. Root contains an entity called read that is designed to call the system, to tell the system to read the Etsy password file. And we call upon this not by grayskull, but by calling this, because this is running this whole line right here. So we go root, and what command are we going to be running? The read command. And then we're going to close this out. Just like that right there. Then send our request. Okie dokie. Scroll on down. And here we go. You see, we were able to read the Etsy password file. So the doc type was saying that this main, like the text right here, is the main program. This program is designed to tell. This main program is designed to take this variable, tell it to call the system to read file Etsy password. Okay, but tongue twisters galore here. Now, the first question is to see how many users are on the system. Per my other videos, what I like to do always is by default do one thing to make everything quick and snappy. Simply type in, whenever we read the Etsy password file from LFIs, we simply go to home. Type in home. See, we got 4 matches, and that should tell us who has a home folder. Who has a home folder? Falcon. Okay, so it looks like Falcon is going to be our user here. Now the next question is, how can we read files? Okay, so that one's going to be a little bit different. So now that we have read Etsy password, how do we read an actual file from here? Let's X this out. Navigate to where this key is located. So we want to go over to specify where we want to go. We want to go to the home folder, Falcon folder, and where are SSH keys normally held in? .ssh in a file called IDA ID _ RSA. All right, so let's go ahead and hit send that request there. Yes, we only have 2 matches because we're not calling it. And now when we scroll down, we see the RSA private key that's displayed here. All right, so that was a fun one. I think there's one more XXE room there. If you want me to go ahead and do that one, then go ahead and let me know. I believe that it's also with multiple web exploits that it goes over to. I'm trying to get into bug bounties and web hacking and transition so I can make more videos for you guys. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'm your boy, the humble hacker from Ch1-R0n1n, and I'm out.